The story, I understand, has nothing to do with status or gender. It is just a mirror image, the two-sided world starting from character and emotion. This is the story of how the real Yuji, in the play, and the real Yuji, in reality, are devoted to a fake king. In the Chinese opera, the king is trapped in Gaixia, and he has no choice but to say goodbye to his lover. It's about love. In reality, the king is trapped in the environment, and chooses to be separated from his lover. It's about betrayal. In Chinese opera, Yuji is Qing Dai, and in reality Yuji is also Juxian. They are undoubtedly in love with the fake king Guanzelu. I would rather express my opinion from the standpoint of Qing Dai. The emotion towards Guanzelu has nothing to do with gender. For the role of Yuji, they were originally the same kind of people, and he just didn't need to act. Qing Dai and Yuji have similar ways of thinking and personality. Similar emotions, attachment to love, willing to let go of everything for the lover. Just like Yuji died with Xiongyu, Qing Dai sacrificed himself in exchange for the sword. Destiny also has something in common. Needless to say, to real Yuji, faithful, sums up their characteristics. Why is Guanzelu a fake king? This should start from the teaching concept of Master Guan. At the beginning of the film, Master Guan led his apprentices to perform in the downtown area, but something went wrong in the middle. Relying on Xiaoxu to perform the brick act, the performance was successfully completed. But when he came back, he was beaten. What did Master Guan say? "You're a disgrace. Thought you'd get away with that brick act, didn't you? It's garbage." In Master Guan's view, Chinese opera can achieve fame status, and it is based on ability and knowledge. Not to be confused with the superficial category. However, the method of beating bricks is the old method still used when Xiaoxu grew into Guanzelu. It symbolizes that this person has not matured in ability and mind, and has not become the king. The film spans more than 50 years, and is divided into 6 periods. The theme of "Farewell My Concubine" appeared 13 times in total. Qing Dai and Guanzelu cooperated 6 times. If you want to know why and how the king bid farewell to his concubine, following Qing Dai's mental journey, that is, Zhidouzi, you will probably understand. I guess. Since being sold to Master Guan by his mother, 1924, Zhidouzi has faced harsh training and endless beatings, every day. Perhaps escape has been brewing countless times in Zhidouzi's heart. Finally escaped. He happened to see the popular star playing "Farewell My Concubine" on stage, the heroic figure of king on stage, and the popularity of the audience. Such an atmosphere planted seeds in Zhidouzi's heart. He also wants to be famous. This is the original intention of knowing that going back will be punished very severely. Master Guan tells the story of "Farewell My Concubine" and is also teaching the principles of acting and being a person. Here, Zhidouzi slapped himself. It was recognition, repentance, and the seeds of determination began to sprout. After that, Mr. Na chooses the actors. Zhidouzi is still stubborn about the lyrics. After being taught by Guanzelu, he changed completely. To be famous? Lyrics, voice, body shape, movements. What's the stubbornness of these? Why did he get so many beatings? Why did he come back? After thinking about it, at Mr. Shang's birthday banquet, 1932, Xiaoxu and Zhidouzi became famous in one fell swoop. The stage names became Guanzelu, Qing Dai. Here is the first time the two of them performed "Farewell My Concubine." They saw the sword, which also symbolizing the will of Qing Dai. Here is also the dividing point between the two of them. Before the anti-Japanese war in 1937, the two men took pictures in the photo studio with high spirits, facing the demonstrators downstairs. Their attitudes and focus were very different. Guanzelu is impatient, impulsive, and bragging. Chung Dai thinks that someone is suitable to be an actor. In the evening, the two performed on stage. After stepping off the stage, Master Yuan praised Chung Dai and belittled Guanzilu. Master Yuan's very professional analysis and evaluation made Chung Dai, who wanted to delve into Chinese opera, to be grateful and willing to accept Master Yuan's cultivation. Guanzilu refused the invitation on the spot, and said that he would go to the brothel. Chung Dai had to follow Guanzilu, but did not agree. Here, Guanzilu's choice was purely for himself, self-esteem, and happiness. That night, because of righteousness, it was also reckless. In order to save Miss Juxian's urgency, he lied that she was engaged to himself. Troubles began to play out one after another. In the next section of Guanzilu and Chung Dai's performance, Juxian came to watch the show. The stage show wasn't over yet. She went back neatly, redeeming herself, and came to Guanzilu penniless. The two held an engagement banquet that night. So far, Juxian has completed a major drama in her life. Facing Chung Dai's retention, Guanzilu did not look back. This night, Chung Dai was invited to Yuan's mansion. Seeing the sword that promised to send Guanzilu, he sacrificed himself for the sword. When it was delivered to Guanzilu, the engaged man had forgotten what he had said. This kind of reaction pushed Chung Dai farther, so he said parted ways. While Chung Dai sang The Drunken Concubine solo. On the other side, Guanzilu became angry. Because of traitors wearing his costumes for Japanese people, he smashed the man on the head with a teapot and got himself into prison. To save Guanzilu, Chung Dai performed for the Japanese. Facing Guanzilu's unappreciative and indifferent attitude, Chung Dai visited Yuan's mansion for the second time. Even started taking drugs. Master Guan came forward to discipline and reconcile the two and re-enter the stage together. 1945. In the face of unfriendly audiences, Guanzilu protected Chung Dai. Things got worse and worse. Juxian miscarried and Chung Dai was arrested. At the moment, Guanzilu is in a dilemma. Rather than choosing to stay with Juxian, he just did to make a choice and did nothing. Later, in order to save Chung Dai, Juxian wisely urged Master Yuan to help. Not only did she return the sword, she also handed in Chung Dai notes that Guanzilu was no longer singing. 3 birds with 1 stone. Although these are not directly done by Guanzilu as a party present, it can be equivalent to him doing it. All this caused the frustrated Chung Dai to give up his defense in court. In the end, his acting ability saved him. The commander named Chung Dai to perform. I think Chung Dai had abandoned himself in the court before. Will he enter the stage when he performs the Keeley Pavilion for the commander afterwards? Probably it was his love for Chinese opera and his will to perform it. But the mental trauma caused by Guanzilu can only be paralyzed by drugs. With the help of Mr. Na and Ziosi, Guanzilu and Chung Dai reconciled again. On stage again, 1949, Chung Dai made a mistake. This is very embarrassing not only for the stars themselves, but also for the audience. The two stood together and bowed and apologized. But these audiences are very different. Not only did they refrain from sarcasm and insults, but they also applauded and encouraged and sang their own songs. These audiences are really very thoughtful. They also want to reform and innovate the opera industry. This also led to the problem of changing roles later. Faced with changing roles, Guanzilu once again cowardly evaded, shirked responsibility, and found excuses. Chung Dai chose to respect this person. Then he burned down the costume, and also burned down his previous expectations. However, when the criticism denouncement began, 1966, Chung Dai still took the initiative to face it with Guanzilu. It was only when Duanzelu betrayed himself, described himself as so unbearable, and seemed to only protect Yuji that he completely collapsed. He felt that everything was a lie. Promise is a lie. Faithful is also a lie. At this time, he also betrayed the Gaixia, who was also in the quagmire. Here, I personally have a doubt. I don't understand why Dai cried himself when he reunited with Duanzelu 11 years later. In my opinion, Dai should fulfill himself at that time. Speaking of the ending, Duanzelu not only betrayed Dai, but also betrayed Yuji. He loves the people who loved him most. The king only loves himself. Dai, naive, pursued to ideally, that he had no life and no self. It would be difficult for a person with spiritual cleanliness to adapt to the new world at that time. Yuji, a miraculous woman, who is outside the opera industry, and does not follow the rules. It's not that I try to praise you every time I meet people, but you are wild, chivalrous, and gentle.